bad movies, bad life advice, and even worse life decisions. We cover it all here on the Life with Kenny podcast. I'm your host, Kenny. Grab a beer, sit back, and relax for this week's episode, because things are about to get weird.
What's an all-American girl like you doing with a geek like this?
Forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
Fuck me gently with a chainsaw.
Jimmy was off the hook. I know you really don't listen to Slipknot.
Does your Rhino?
You are listening to a Life with Kenny podcast.
Not quite my tempo. It's all good. No worries. Here we go.
All right, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Movie Night from the Life with Kenny podcast, the podcast series where we discuss the best and worst movies in cinema history. This week, I'm joined by my regular co-hosts, as always, Patrick.
Right.
All right. And Kyle.
Right. That's pretty good.
That's you. Oh, you actually.
Do you reckon we could ever do a podcast on the official worst movie and then the official best movie?
I think we did. The official worst movie is Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
No, that can't be the official. I'm talking like movies that have had enough people watch them other than us.
Yeah, I mean, I'll look into it. How about that?
I feel like that'd be a pretty cool little.
Yeah, we should do that. I'd do like
what's the greatest movie of all time?
Citizen Kane, I think, is the one people say.
All right, second best movie of all time.
That's not what you said.
Titanic?
We're not talking about any of those movies. This week we are actually talking about Patrick's pick from a few weeks ago that we just could not find until Kyle stumbled into a magical thing called a garage sale.
Yeah, and Amazon Prime released it at the same time.
Well, Amazon Prime had it, but it's like fucking $30.
No,
like
you can just watch it.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I sent you the same day. Literally an hour before Kyle texted saying, "Oh, Patrick, I bought you Dog Soldiers from a garage sale."
For $2.
I sent you that they put it back on. So yeah, we're watching Dog Soldiers from 2002, starring Sean Pertwee and Kevin McKidd, directed by Neil Marshall, and also written by Neil Marshall, who did a movie we watched a few weeks ago called The Descent. So I have high hopes for this, Patrick.
It's good shit, man. For what it was when it came out.
Really high hopes for this, Patrick.
You know what you will like.
What's that?
It's all prosthetic.
Yeah, I was reading about the practical effects, and apparently they're really highly praised. So I'm excited to see that. So let's get right to it. Kyle, have you seen this movie before?
Nope.
Patrick?
Yeah, man.
When was the last time you watched it?
Probably when I was like 14.
Oh, so it's been a while.
It's been a while.
I think I might have seen it when it first came out, but I do not remember any of it because I think it was one of those like movies that we just kind of threw on at a friend's house while we were playing like Xbox or PlayStation or something. So
I still find that weird that you lot did that.
What do you mean?
One or the other. Fucking choose.
Oh, I still do it all the time. I'll throw
Why?
I'll throw something on the TV, and
This
that's
is
how
why
I got
you-
through all the Tales from the Dark Side.
This is why you never remember stuff right, because you get half of an episode of the Black Dahlia murder mixed in with Far Cry 5.
Well,
You're like, yeah, and then the murderer climbed up a tower and activated a radio beacon to get most of the map unrailed.
And I don't know where they got the rocket launcher from, but
Yeah.
no, the shovel launcher. Let's get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I've seen it. Don't remember anything about it. I'm assuming it'll come back to me if I do remember any of it. But
Probably.
I think I'll probably enjoy it.
is there
Kyle, how
any
do you-
twists?
Don't remember, honestly.
Yeah, before we get super far into talking about movies, though, this movie in particular, we also like to talk about stuff we've been watching this week and some trailers that we watched. I'm excited for at least one of the trailers this week, but maybe we'll talk about what we've been watching first. Have you guys been watching anything that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I downloaded Shudder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty decent.
Do you use the free trial at least?
No, I just bought it. There was some stuff on there that I wanted to watch.
That's $5 wasted.
Is it?
Well, you could have got the free trial. You could have got an extra month.
Yeah, but it's $5 a month. I mean, fucking come on.
Yeah, it's
Did you-
Right,
Netflix.
so I had a Netflix account that I hadn't been using that I was paying for a
Right.
whole year
Really?
because I just never got round to cancelling it.
See, I'm sitting about there with my Amazon Prime account because I don't watch Amazon Prime really.
The only reason I have Amazon Prime is because when I ordered Raf's birthday present, I accidentally asked for a free trial of Prime, and then 4 days later they took $70 out of my account for the whole year.
And you were like, well, I guess I got Prime now.
And then I remembered, like, oh wait, they have a fucking streaming thing. I might as well leech off of that for a bit while I got it for a whole year.
Right.
Fucking
So,
gimps.
Kyle, are you familiar with the streaming service Shudder?
I've heard of it, but I haven't checked it out.
Yeah, we
at all.
watched a film called Mayhem.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
With Steven Yen
Yeah.
of The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
I think it's a Mick Garris film, if I remember.
It's very well acted across the board.
I've heard it's batshit crazy and a fun watch.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to describe it.
There's one that you should watch on there. I won't say anything about it. There's a challenge to kind of get all the way through it. It's called Kuso. Put it on your list, watch it, come back, tell me about it.
Okay.
Let me know if it's worth us watching for the podcast. Because I wanted to watch it, but my Shudder subscription was up like 2 days before they put it on there.
Balls.
And I've heard it's the type of movie where they showed it in theaters at a film festival, and 3/4 of the people walked out. A quarter of them walked out because they were vomiting.
I think that's a bit stupid.
Yeah, it's one of those movies, so I'm really intrigued by it.
I've never watched anything that wanted to make me vomit before.
Right. So this Mayhem movie that you talked about, would you recommend watching it?
Yeah, man, me and Raf fucking loved it.
What would you rate that one, just like roughly?
Probably like a 4.
Oh,
Yeah, man. No,
that's a
it was a solid movie.
sweet.
The premise of it is basically just a virus that completely gets rid of any ability to hold back your real emotion.
Right,
So
I remember
say
like
if you did something that pissed me off, rather than just being like, yeah, man, I'd be like, you're a fucking piece of shit,
Right.
and I'm about to fucking punch you.
and if you're really horny, or if you're horny,
Yeah.
it just like
You just start humping chairs, man.
Right.
Just left, right, and center.
yeah. I remember hearing about this.
But that gradual descent into like everyone just fucking going mental was so good to watch.
Crazy. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I've been sitting on the fence about getting Shudder again because there's this guy Joe Bob Briggs who does like movie reviews and discussions and stuff on horror movies, old horror movies and stuff on there, and it's like exclusive to Shudder.
Is
and it looks
Shudder
funny.
like mostly horror movies or what?
It's only
It's
horror
basically
movies, yeah.
exclusively like there's some dramas and stuff too, but it's like almost all horror movies. It's $5, and they get like their own exclusive content. Like they'll get films from film
Yeah,
festivals.
Mayhem
and
was
stuff.
a Shudder exclusive.
Yeah.
Which I thought it reminded me of the Belko Experiment, which I haven't seen but also want to watch.
Yeah, it's another one I haven't seen. That one was what's his name? The guy who did the Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah, that one, James Gunn.
James Gunn. That's the one.
How do I remember that? What the fuck?
I normally am good with names. I'm actually surprised I remembered Mick Garris did Mayhem, but what are you cracking your chair over there? Very confused.
No, your mic looks crooked. I was just checking it out. I think it's good.
So is that the only movie you've been watching then? Or
Well, I
on TV
watched
or
it in
anything like
the
that?
one sitting. I didn't watch it gradually throughout the 2 weeks.
Right, and you weren't also playing Xbox and stuff while you're
Exactly. Yeah.
Is that
Which is
but
why I
like
can
is that the
remember
only
watching
one
it.
you've watched in the past couple of weeks?
That is
that's what
the
we're talking
only
about?
the only movie that I've watched in the past week. Yeah, I haven't really started any TV shows. Like I said, it takes me a long time to get into a TV
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, TV shows are
long time.
tough, man.
They are.
Because it's like either there's like 1 or 2 seasons, and you're not sure if you want to like get invested because it might get canceled, and then there's like other ones where it's 10 seasons and you don't know if you want to dive into that.
Well, yeah, it's like I can't imagine for the life of me starting Game of Thrones again.
Yeah, I got Kyle.
Fucking-
Did you ever get into Game of Thrones?
I watched like first season and a half, and then Tori just got ahead of me, so I quit watching.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if you can't binge watch it, you probably will stop watching it pretty quick.
Well, I think that like it was like, I don't know, stupid, but we started watching it like the beginning of summer, and we were just sitting there watching it, and we watched like the whole season, and then I ended up doing something, and she kept watching it, so then I quit.
Yeah, for me, I got like 2 seasons into it, and I didn't really like register with any. The only character I actually like cared about was Ned Stark. And spoilers, he got killed off in the first fucking season. So I'm
Sean
like,
Bean.
I don't really want to follow through with this show.
Bastard.
But yeah, Kyle, what have you been watching?
Or
listening
not
to?
a lot really. I watched the season finale of Riverdale It wasn't good.
Perfect.
I watched.
Have you kept up with Sabrina? Did you finish the second season?
No, I didn't.
No.
I watched more of The Good Place, just a couple episodes.
Still liking that one?
Yeah, and then Dynasty I watch on Netflix too.
What the fuck is that?
I'm pretty sure it's a
Dynasty?
remake.
It's terrible.
Yeah,
I'm just going to put that out there. It's fucking garbage.
What is it?
Garbage. I've
Like,
never
it's-
watched a single episode, but from what I can gather from everyone else telling me about it, garbage.
Is it that Matt Damon movie where he like
No, it's
has to
a,
fight the Great Wall?
it's a
of China?
TV show, and I'm pretty sure it's a remake of like a soap opera, but it's like a drama.
Yeah, it's just rich
thriller
people
now,
doing
kinda.
rich people things.
Yeah, and it's
with
like
other rich people.
I follow the story because like, and now I'm kind of invested in it. But again, it was a show that Tori had on, and I started watching with her, and then I restarted it and watched it, and now I'm just watching it because it comes out weekly. But
Interesting.
it's okay. There's nothing great about it.
Right. Is that all you've been watching? Have you seen any movies or anything?
No, I've been doing other shit.
Yeah, you've been busy, man. You've been doing a lot of work in your yard. It's been nice out, so it's been tough getting the guys together to do stuff because we've all finally had time to do some shit we've been wanting
Yeah,
to
man.
do. And
I went for a walk, fell asleep by the river. Beautiful.
really,
Yeah, man.
I've always wanted to do that, but here you pretty much 90% of the time get stabbed when you fall asleep by the river. so.
No, there's too much of me to stab, I think. You walk up to me with a knife and think, what?
Well, you're also too pretty to stab.
What
You'd
shall I
probably,
go up? What shall I stab first?
probably your mouth with their dick. That's probably what would happen
Yeah,
if you fell asleep.
I do mouth breathe, so it'd be a bit dry.
Are you guys aware with the movie Mid 90s?
Directed by
Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill, yes. The
Yeah. Have you heard about this, Kyle?
less hairy Zach Galifianakis.
So Mid 90s, it's a movie that I actually watched before the last episode, but I totally forgot I watched it for some reason. Directed by Jonah Hill. It's got a bunch of like unknown actors, I guess. It's about kids who grew up in the 90s and like
Was it on
skateboarding
Netflix?
culture and stuff. Yeah, they just
Okay,
put it on.
I think I saw it on there.
And it's about this kid. I'd say he's probably about 10, and he starts hanging out with these like teenagers. And it's funny because you see like the influence. This kid like finally has friends, and he's hanging out with these skateboarders. And it just like it's very nostalgic for people who grew up in the 90s because you have like just like a little kid who's finally getting accepted by an older peer group. And you start to like root for him and like feel for him and understand it, and then it cuts to him like 2 weeks later. He's got a do-rag on his head and he's chugging a 40 and he's like smoking cigarettes with these 16-year-old kids, and he's like 10 years old. It's really fucking. It sounds so stupid, but if you like skateboarding and stuff like that, and if you grew up in the 90s, I definitely say it's worth a watch because it brings back a lot of nostalgia. It's like a really good like dramatic comedy piece, I guess. But
The only nostalgia I really have from being a kid is mostly terrible memories. But there was one in particular that I remember.
primary school.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't primary school. It was junior school. But this secondary school kid, he was a bit of a fucking weirdo. I think he was arrested pretty sharpish afterwards. He was only like 13 probably, and I was maybe 7. And our fence used to back onto a park, and I just remember him walking up to the fence really quickly, and he just whips his cock out and then puts it back in and then runs away.
Yeah, so
And I was stood there, 7 years old, like, what am I supposed to do now?
so that movie's just like shit like that the whole time. The ending is like abrupt and kind of a disappointment. That's the one thing I have to say about the mid 90s, but overall I think it's a pretty good movie. I probably would give it about a 3.5 or a 4 as well. Like I definitely would recommend people check that out if you're interested in that stuff. It's on Netflix anyways, so if you're just looking for something to throw on, it's pretty quick.
Yeah, everyone's got Netflix.
Just fucking stick it on while you play 5 video games, write a book,
Exactly.
you know?
I've been wanting to go see John Wick 3 lately. So Melissa got home the one day we didn't know what to do, so I put on John Wick thinking that she would hate it because she's not a huge action movie fan like I am. But the first part of the movie is so dramatic and beautiful and sad that it pretty much wins everybody over with the way the movie turns. So as soon as that movie was finished, she definitely wanted to watch the second one, so we watched John Wick 1 and 2. We're gonna go see 3, I think, in the next week or so I'll be able to talk about that. But those movies, if you have not seen the John Wick movies, have you seen them, Kyle?
No, I want to, but I just
Yeah, they're probably.
I got the
busy.
DVD I could lend you for the
probably
first one.
the
Yeah,
best
you know-
action movies I've seen in the past 5 years.
Like The Raid is unreal for actual action, but John Wick is like
It's
it's got
very
heart,
raw.
it's got story, it's got everything you want.
there's
Yeah.
there's minimal editing with the fight scenes as well.
is it on Netflix?
I think John Wick
Yeah,
1
it
is,
is.
yeah.
Yeah. The second
Maybe.
one isn't. I had to rent it, but
Maybe I'll watch it on there. Otherwise, like if I had a DVD of it borrowed to me, it would just sit there.
yeah.
In your one DVD collection.
Yeah, actually, I got more than you.
Yeah, you brought
But-
half of them here.
Yeah,
But yeah, I've been watching John Wick's. I started watching Cowboy Bebop. It's supposed to be one of the best anime shows ever made. I saw it on sale for like $8. I bought that, started watching it. The soundtrack is fucking banging. I played one of the songs when the guys just got here. It's like weird jazz fusion, but it's a fun. It's basically like the story is basically Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like a guy who gets a ragtag group of people together to go bounty hunting in space, but it's like super action packed for like an anime. It's like he's just a space cowboy. It's pretty cool. And then the Constantine TV series. Are you guys familiar with this at all?
I saw you posted it.
No.
So Constantine is a DC Comics character. He's
I think Keanu Reeves play him in a movie.
yeah. So there was a Keanu Reeves movie called Constantine. He's basically like a master of the dark arts. He's like kind of a wizard, I guess. But it's like he's also an exorcist and shit like that. So it's basically, Kyle, you would know this. It's like Supernatural. It's very similar. It was a CW show. They made 13 episodes, but because they put it on it was like 10:30 at night on a Tuesday, nobody watched it, so it got canceled almost immediately. So I saw that on sale at Walmart, bought that, started watching that again, and yeah, it's definitely, if you like shows like Supernatural or like The Exorcist or stuff like that, it's definitely worth a watch too, but it's probably kind of hard to find.
I thought Supernatural was pretty shit.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
I like.
It's one of my favorite shows.
First 2 seasons.
The first 5.
When they were introducing
say.
like all the weird stuff, like the Wendigo and stuff like that, I like those episodes.
Yeah,
So
the best
the first 3 seasons where
Yeah,
they
the-
did.
Yeah.
the best
Monster of the
episode
Week.
is when they meet like the rednecks that are
Oh,
like
yeah.
hunting humans. That's
Yeah,
the
that
best
one's
episode.
a good one. Yeah, I like Supernatural just because of the lore that it goes into. It kind of gets a little overwhelming at times, but yeah, that's definitely a show I revisited. a
The
few
angels
times.
and demons thing, when I got heavy into that, that's kind of when I quit watching, and then I started watching again, and then just quit again.
Well, so
because
the
I
thing
couldn't keep up.
the thing with that show is they made it so that like one brother was working with angels, one was working with demons, and they basically were like pit against each other, and then one would die and they'd bring the other back, but they'd be like possessed by a demon, so then they'd be working for hell this time, and then it's like, well, how do we get out of this contract to be alive again? And then they'd swap places where the other guy would die at the end of that season, and then he'd have to be like, we just got out of this contract, why would you die? Now I have to bring you back, and you know all the shit. And it's just like, it's pretty repetitive in that way, but it's
I started falling asleep watching it, and that's when I quit watching.
Yeah.
it's one of those shows that I'd like to get caught up on, but like it's
Not
got
worth it.
14 seasons, so it's
Fuck that noise, mate.
there's a lot to catch up on. So I think I stopped watching season 9 was the last one
Yeah,
I watched.
I'm somewhere around there too.
So, but yeah, anyways, we'll talk about some trailers quick, and then we'll go watch the movie, and we'll talk about Dog Soldiers. Some of the trailers that I found this week to show the guys. So what I normally do is I'll keep an eye on trailers that are coming out. I'll look for them. And sometimes I'll find really good ones, like Handjob Cabin. And sometimes I'll find really bad ones, like Midsummer, the one that's coming out from this.
You got that backwards.
Yeah. I think you might have done.
But yeah, so some of the trailers that we watched the new Terminator trailer for Dark Fate.
Yeah.
You guys familiar with the Terminator franchise? I think I asked you this, but
I don't like action movies.
what is wrong with you? Like, Do you think he'd like John Wick if he doesn't like action movies?
If he likes Dynasty, then he probably mainly likes inserting things into his anus. Which I can assist with for a very small administration fee.
Right.
$5 is $5.
Yeah, that's it.
So, Patrick, are you familiar with the Terminator movies?
Yes. I've seen the first one. The second one is with Matey that turns into liquid.
Yeah.
Third one is with the woman. She wears that red leather suit. Looks like a fucking gimp.
Yeah.
Fourth one, I think, is...
Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Didn't watch that
it's
one.
all the fucking
Supposed to
time
suck.
travel-y shit.
Yeah. And then the fifth one.
The fifth
With
one
the
is a guy
Khaleesi.
from Avatar.
I don't know about Avatar. I
Sure he
watched
was.
that movie once and I hated it. So, but probably. And then
Yeah, I've
the
actually-
Khaleesi from Game of Thrones.
I think I've seen most of them.
So
That's
yeah,
fucking
that's
weird.
all of
It's
them. That's all
never,
of them so
never
far.
been a franchise that I've been actually interested
You know what's
in.
crazy to me though? That today I just found out that Get to the Chopper is not from Terminator. I've never watched either of the movies, like the original Predator.
I'm
or
90%
that, so
sure it's from Predator.
I looked
but,
it up. It is,
Yeah,
and I've always like put that to.
Well, it's because it's one
Terminator.
of his most popular.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you mention Predator, nobody I'd say 8 out of 10 people, if you asked who was in Predator, they'd be like the Predator. They wouldn't even know Arnold.
I think I've only watched Alien versus Predator. That's the only one.
Oh, you're
and I've
missing
probably
out.
seen it like many times. Like
You're missing out, man. The first
6,
Predator
7
movie
times.
is unreal.
Yeah, I've seen all of them bar the sixth one. Terminator Salvation also has the guy from Avatar in it. This guy.
Yeah, Salvation's the one that I watched. It's got the Khaleesi in it, isn't it?
No, Genesis, I think, is the one you're talking
Which
about.
one's Salvation?
Salvation is the one that you haven't seen because it is shite.
Oh, with Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I'm a huge fan of the Terminator movies personally. I went on like a huge action movie kick at one point, and I got like $200 worth of movies on Amazon that were all like $5 a piece. I still have the RoboCop collection sitting in my DVDs that I haven't watched yet. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, Patrick. We got to watch that one for the podcast.
All right, no. How about this? Have you seen RoboCop?
You know what? Okay, we'll do our music month. Then we should do an action movie month.
No. you guys should watch RoboCop, and then we'll watch the fan remake of
Right,
RoboCop,
the one that you were telling us about.
where every director does a different scene.
We should just watch it together.
It would be fucking brilliant.
We should just watch RoboCop together for the podcast.
Yeah, if you want, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good
we'll do
movie.
that. But anyways, back to the trailers. Terminator. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I think number 2 is probably one of the best sci-fi movies ever made. It's just fucking badass. I can't even explain how, like, watching that movie with like low or high expectations for some reason, because I went in having super high expectations, never seeing it, and it met them. And I've never had a movie do that. So yeah, I definitely would recommend watching those ones 1 and 2 for sure, because this new movie Dark Fate that's coming out is technically going to be the third one. I think they're retconning everything in between, because these movies kind of do that. It's all time travel. So Kyle, the Terminator movies, first one's about Arnold. He is a robot from the future that comes back to kill this guy named John Connor, or this woman, I guess, who's going to be giving birth to this guy, John Connor, who is like the savior of the Earth.
Are we legit about to explain all the Terminator movies to Kyle?
No, just the first 2. Just the first 2.
All right, you do
Okay,
you, man.
so it's the idea of like, would you go back in time and kill
how long are we
Hitler?
at?
Would
What
you go
time are we
back, Kyle? Would you go back and kill Hitler?
no.
no.
It's okay, but it's that same idea, but it's instead of killing Hitler, it's killing his mom. But instead of it being Hitler, it's like the savior. It'd be like, would you kill Jesus or Mary? Is like the idea. So the Terminator is Arnold. He's a robot sent back to kill her. He fails, and then
I don't know
Terminator
if we can
2.
trust your recollection of it, because you were probably doing a marathon while watching.
No, he does, because
Sounds
Terminator
a lot
2.
like Halo.
Terminator 2 is a twist because Arnold comes back and they think that Arnold's going to be the bad guy again, but Arnold's actually a good guy, and he's there to stop, I believe it's himself and Liquid Metal from like killing.
yeah.
So it's like a weird switch where they found out that the original Terminator was the good guy in the second. It's real weird, but this third one that's coming out now is going to take place after that. I'll just leave it at that.
Cool.
Looks sick to me. Anyways,
Looks pretty good.
next movie. We'll talk about The Nightingale. This one looks very art housey.
Yeah, but I could not take my eyes off it
Yeah,
while watching that trailer.
There's something like they really made it look like it was in the olden days. Like they didn't
Yeah,
really.
there's,
get
there's
down.
a period
something.
piece.
There's something about that
And
time
all
period
of
that
the
freaks me the fuck
all
out.
the characters are like, they all have weird facial features that
Yeah.
like makes you really like look at them and try and study what the fuck is weird. But
Right.
yeah,
Have you seen The Witch, Kyle?
no.
This had very similar vibes to The Witch, just watching the trailer to me.
Yeah, kind of.
Like you're not positive where it's gonna go. Like the original Witch trailer, when you watch it, you didn't know how much of the Witch was actually gonna be involved. I feel like watching this trailer, I still have no idea what the movie's about,
Yeah.
which is interesting. That's like effective for people. Do you guys think you'll go check that one out?
Probably
Based
won't
off
watch
that
it at the
trailer?
movies. Probably won't come out in theaters.
If it was
so,
on Shudder, though, would you
oh yeah,
give it a watch?
it, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, keep an eye out for that one. Check that trailer out if you're interested in period movies. I think it's a horror movie. I couldn't really tell.
What was it called? Nightingale.
The Nightingale. Yeah.
Nightingale.
I mean, that's probably the beauty of it is you don't know what it is until you watch it.
Right.
You never know.
The third trailer we watched, and the last trailer before we go watch this movie, was called Freaks, starring Emil Hirsch.
Yeah, I fucking love the look of that. He was in another movie called Into the Wild, which I really enjoyed. I cried my
He was-
fucking eyes out at the end of that. I think
He was in one of the best horror movies
Was it
I've
him?
seen.
might have been. Don't know.
There's a horror movie that came out a couple years ago. One of the best horror movies I saw that year, called The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
you seen that one?
I have not seen that. No.
You should
I
add
think
that
I
one to your
saw
list,
part of
Patrick. It's like a batshit crazy horror movie. It came out of left field. It was in theaters for 1 week. I went and saw it in theaters. It was weird because it was me, and then there was another guy like 4 rows ahead of me to the other side of the theater, but it looked like he was like jerking off the whole time. And it's weird because the whole movie is like them doing an autopsy on this woman's corpse. So you see a lot of like bare chest, but it's like corpse chest.
Yeah.
And it looked like this guy, he had his like jacket over his legs and he kept like moving, unless he had like a weird twitch or something. But yeah, it definitely looked suspect. But the movie itself was like really good. So that kind of put Emil Hirsch on my map for like horror movies and stuff, because I only ever knew him from The Girl Next Door. That Alicia Cuthbert one about her being like a Playboy bunny or whatever.
Yeah, no, I love that. The premise of the trailer for Freaks is real cool.
So
you don't
can you
know,
explain the premise to me?
I don't know what it's about. But
do you kind of get what it is?
I have an
or-
idea, but I'd like to hear.
It's like
your
the fucking
thoughts.
10 Cloverfield Lane. You don't know who to believe.
Yeah, I got that vibe too watching it.
Yeah, you have no idea whether he's telling the truth or whether he's actually just mental.
So he seems like he's like got a case of agoraphobia, kind of,
Yeah.
but not really of the sun or anything, just the outside world.
Uh-huh.
And he has a daughter with him, so it's him
Well,
and his
we
daughter
think
in
it's
his
his
house.
daughter.
Right. I guess we don't know, but they pictured it as his daughter. Yeah, and then there's a weird ice cream man, which I thought is like kind of interesting
Yeah, that was super creepy.
to put out there. But yeah, that one looks interesting enough that I think I would probably go see that if it came out in theaters.
I would, definitely, without a doubt.
What did you think of that one? Would you go see that one, Kyle? Would that be something we should do for the podcast if it comes out in theaters?
yeah, sure.
Is there, okay, let me ask you guys like one real question. Is there any movies that you've seen come out lately or coming out that have actually like made you be like, fuck, I want to go see that in theaters?
Literally not a single one.
Nope.
Is
It's-
that strange for you guys?
Very strange.
Yeah, you know what's weird? Okay, so I would say 2-3 years ago, a bunch of trailers caught my eye. Like, it was like summertime and a whole bunch of shit was coming out. Whole bunch of them caught my eye. I never went to one movie, and I cannot for the life of me think of any fucking one of those trailers that I wanted to watch.
It's been the same with video games, though. Like, over the past couple of years, there's not been anything groundbreaking at all.
I disagree.
Name one game that's been groundbreaking.
Zelda Breath of the Wild. Horizon Zero Dawn.
I didn't think that did that great. Horizon Zero Dawn.
Are you kidding me? Both of those games were
Fortnite.
competitors for Game of the Year.
Fuck.
Same with Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was a PlayStation exclusive as well, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So was
you've
Horizon
never
Zero
played
Dawn.
it. Yeah. Well, Horizon was. Breath of the Wild was a Switch game.
Yeah, I would love to play that.
It's one of the best games I've played in my life.
But like, I mean, for mainstream consoles, like just Xbox and PlayStation.
Fortnite.
Well, like PlayStation it had, what was it, God of War, Spider-Man, and Horizon were all up for
See,
Game of the
that's
Year
what
last
fucks
year.
me off about Xbox. They're exclusives, right? It's stuff like Minecraft. And to be fair,
Minecraft is an exclusive,
I
though.
have been having a fucking buzzing time playing Minecraft. I'd never played it before, and it is wild, man.
I mean, like, I think there's going to be like a resurgence coming pretty soon for Xbox.
But I mean, like the style of games, like The Last of Us was a PlayStation exclusive,
Right.
And it was fucking
very dark story-driven
mind-blowing.
movie or games. Yeah,
And Spider-Man, like I wish I'd have gotten to play that, but I don't have a PlayStation.
yeah, it's sick, man.
You know,
I know there's talks that they're going to announce a new Fable game coming up. I don't know if you've played those games.
I played all of the Fable games.
I love those games.
See, I thought I loved them, right? But there's not been a single morsel of me that's wanted to go back and play them.
I went back and played the first one a few months ago, and it's still so fun. It's
Yeah.
ridiculously
Should
fun.
probably give that a go.
But yeah, so they're doing like a new Halo game too. Like they're trying to bring people back to Xbox somehow.
That's what
but,
fucks me off, though. Why bring Halo back? Make a different fucking game, you lazy cunts.
But the thing is, it's all based on like fan demand as well, right? So like with God of War, they've redone it.
Yeah,
And they did it well.
but-
And I feel like they can do that with Halo.
God of War was a very unique type of game in itself already.
I feel like Halo was too, though, when it came out.
But it's a first-person shooter.
So
What can you... Take Call of Duty, for example. Fucking same game.
right,
Just
but a
add
lot
in
of those are
random shit
derivative
into it.
of Halo as well. Like all the new
Exactly,
ones,
yeah.
the Modern Warfare and stuff. So if they took
I just
Halo,
don't understand how Halo can then make itself stand out.
I guess it just depends on like the story and stuff that you click with, right?
Yeah.
Like, not everybody's gonna click with the same games. So it just depends on what you're going in for. Like Xbox's big claim to fame is the fucking racing games, which is funny because that used to be PlayStation's bread and
Yeah,
butter.
but they suck.
right.
Just
So-
go for a fucking drive.
Anyways, we're talking about video games now.
Sure.
But yeah, so I was just curious because I've noticed lately too with the movie trailers, it's been like there hasn't, like, other than John Wick 3 and like Avengers and stuff like that, there hasn't really been anything that I'm like, fuck, I want to go
I
see
really
that.
want to think that that's because everyone's really buckling down to make something incredible. I feel like from what I saw, Endgame set the bar pretty fucking high for movies of that kind of type.
I also feel like we're getting to the point where like we have so much good quality and quantity of things coming to streaming services that like a lot of people are just like, it's not worth going out of my home to go watch this movie when it's
Yeah,
gonna come. Like Detective Pikachu is gonna come to fucking Netflix in like less than a year,
But
probably.
like Netflix
So why would you go
exclusives
pay?
have been getting progressively better.
I was gonna say worse.
I don't know.
There's
The-
a bit of both, though.
yeah, it's like a kind of a zigzag on a scale, really.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, hopefully we'll see some more good movies coming out. But I'm really hoping that they're going to come out with a resurgence of werewolf movies, which leads me into this week's movie. I've only seen one werewolf movie that I really liked, and that was An American Werewolf in London.
Wow.
Have you seen that movie?
Yes, I have. It's actually not bad.
It's great.
It's pretty fucking wild.
The transformation scenes from the 70s look
when it
amazing.
came out, yeah, it was fucking crazy.
So yeah, I'm excited to see this movie because I honestly haven't seen very many
Piss.
good werewolf movies, but we'll see. Kyle, what's your opinion on werewolves in movies besides the Twilight series? I know you love those. You sparkly vampire fuck.
I just listened to a podcast about a guy who thought he was a werewolf in like the 1940s or something. You ever
yeah.
hear about that?
I don't know. Maybe.
No, I don't think I was around in the 1940s, mate.
Is that what you're looking up?
It just says South End Werewolf, a tribute to Lorraine Warren.
Lorraine Warren.
Yeah.
Didn't she just pass away? She's the woman from the Conjuring movies. Anyways, so we'll look into that. Maybe we'll talk about that for a Life Legends episode. That might be interesting. But yeah,
Bill Ramsey was the guy's name.
So if you want, you can look into that. We'll probably talk about that in a couple weeks on Life Legends. But for now, we're gonna go watch Dog Soldiers and then come back and talk about that. So.
Fuck yeah, man! Let's get British.
All right.
All right.
All right, we are back from watching Dog Soldiers, and I don't know, how you guys feeling?
I'm good.
Tired.
Tired. So, as we've established, me and Kyle have not seen this, and Patrick has seen this. So I guess what we'll start with is asking you guys what you thought about it.
You go first, Kyle.
So, Kyle.
3.
3?
Sorry to disappoint.
I was going to ask if you regret watching it first, but just 3?
Yeah.
What's your reasoning?
I don't know. There was lots of parts that just kind of dragged to me, and it was very repetitive. I like the idea of it, but right from the beginning, like, it didn't take long to figure out exactly what was going on for me.
I mean, it seemed like it did, though.
Yeah, it took you a little bit.
I knew right away that she would, like, as soon as... So, okay, spoilers starting already, but...
for a movie from 2002.
Yeah, when they said, like when she said I was the one that took the pictures, the first time I saw that picture, I was like, yeah, I bet you she took it, because she wasn't in it.
I'm skeptical as to whether that's legitimate or not, I'll be honest.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was playing Xbox while I was watching this, so I wasn't really...
Kenny was writing his 5th novel of the movie.
Patrick, do you regret watching this?
No.
What do you rate it?
4.
4. Solid 4.
I don't regret watching it, though.
So you liked this movie more than Overlord?
Yeah.
Interesting. Is it maybe like a nostalgia factor for you, or what would
it's that?
What about this movie?
And there's just a lot of humor in this as well.
Yeah, the humor was good for sure,
but I feel like a lot of it went straight over your guys' heads.
Well, it's because we don't understand it.
I don't feel like a lot of it went over my head. I think maybe growing up around that type of humor, there's probably like a charm to it that you register with more. Like, I got all the jokes. It's just, for me, it wasn't just like...
Nah, there was some stuff where...
That bloke!
There was some stuff where I looked over at you and Kylie, and you just sat there deadpan as if nothing had happened.
Right, and you were like, did you get it? And I was like, yeah, I got it.
Oh, I don't think you did. I'm skeptical. I think we're both chatting shit.
The funniest joke in this fucking movie, what was the line where he said, with if Red Riding Hood comes up to you with a bazooka...
Chin the bitch.
And then the best joke in the whole thing is when Kyle goes, you better shoot Red Riding Hood in the chin. See, Spectator's joke was the best part of the movie.
A complete lack of knowledge of British humor.
I don't regret watching it. I did get a lot of humor. I feel like the humor wasn't quite on par with movies like Shaun of the Dead that we've watched previously, or Doghouse even. I found myself laughing more watching Doghouse.
I think that's because Doghouse was more of a ridiculous movie.
Yeah. I did like this movie, though. I would probably give it about... it's tough. It'd probably be about a 3.5 for me.
I'll take that.
It's like not a bad movie, but there's definitely like things about it that I feel like they stretched a little longer than they probably needed to.
Yeah, it was way longer than I thought it was.
And I give a lot of that like reasoning to Neil Marshall for this being his first movie that he did as well, where you just want to cram all the story and stuff into your first movie. You want to make it the best it can be. And I feel like that was the same issue we had with The Descent, was all that story stuff at the beginning. Where I feel like now it was like taking all that stuff, but trying to like shoehorn it in. Once we started getting a little bit of action, they'd need like a 10-minute pause to explore a story arc that probably could have been like worked into the action as well. But fuck, man, this movie was like brutal.
Yeah, dude, it's
Like
savage.
sawing off arms and
Yep.
shit. Like,
The best part of the whole movie was the werewolves themselves. Like,
yeah, man.
For 2002,
I'm not gonna lie, like,
incredible.
2002.
The suits themselves were some of the best like creature effects I've seen in my life. I was really disappointed with the faces.
Dude, they had to be walking on stilts.
Oh yeah,
They
they,
were
are.
Like in
big
those-
dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, what? How? That's what a werewolf looks like, though.
That's what a wolf looks like. But for me,
I thought they would have been faster though. Like, you know what I mean?
I feel like
seemed-
to give the soldiers even a fighting chance,
yeah.
they had to be a little bit sluggish in places.
Like they were. But I think the fact that they weren't quick made them creepier. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were just very fucking strong.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could avoid them a little bit, but as soon as they got hold of you, you're pretty much fucked.
Yeah, I know. The first time that crossed my mind that like they weren't very quick, I just changed my thought process
Yeah,
into
But
thinking
I did like that because they weren't just this uncontrollable predator.
yeah,
They were fucking smart.
yeah,
which
I
makes
like
them scary.
I just put in my mind that like when you change like that, it like stretches their fucking bones or something and
Yeah.
like makes it hurt for them to move or something. Like, you know, tried to make it more realistic, even
Yeah,
though it's
it's-
fucking werewolves.
It's like trying to move after you've just worked out every muscle in your body.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
See, I was hoping when it comes to the face, I was hoping that they would almost, because the body and everything was so exaggerated and like lanky and creepy that like to throw in almost like a normal wolf's face with just extra mane kind of took away from it for me. I was expecting
yeah.
something like Razor from the TMNT movies. Do you know? Just like something that just looks so ridiculous and
That'd
crazy.
be
that
All
it
right,
would
what's
be-
more scary? What you saw in that movie or that?
No, I know.
from like, but that's from like '89, dude. I'm talking like if you did something where you had like
it wasn't bad. I do
like just go all out with like the weird teeth and proportions, make them look
Yeah.
more mutated because
I
they're
get
like
that.
technically they're just a
I was
mutation, right?
wildly disappointed with the lack of a transformation scene. When
Yeah.
he started going, I was like, fuck, this is going to be so sick.
You should just splice in American Werewolf in London transformation
Yeah.
scene.
They just like hit him under the
They're
table, eh?
perfect example of a werewolf design like face done really right is like
Yeah.
the wolves from that one.
Yeah,
if
that
you
was
could
pretty
if you could
fucked.
throw that head on this body, it would be like the perfect werewolf to me.
I love the silhouette of these werewolves though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you first get
I,
introduced to it,
I like
the
that it took a
silhouette is
long time to
fucking
reveal the face too. Like it kept that mystery up.
And it wasn't really a jump scare the first time either.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were kind of knowing that they were going to get attacked in a tent.
Yeah.
It was classic horror movie
Yeah,
setup.
I
but
did kind of like that there wasn't jump scares. as
There was
such.
one though.
Yeah,
you
but
remember?
not the amount that you'd probably expect for something like this.
Right, but like the cow one.
Oh yeah. But like, do you know what I mean? That was virtually nothing to do with. That could have just been the soldiers throwing bait.
Right. So just to tell listeners a little bit about the story of this movie, if you haven't seen it, Dog Soldiers is about a group of military guys getting dropped off for a training exercise, I think is what we're led to believe, in the middle of a forest. And they basically just kind of track their way into a destroyed, what would it be, secret operative base?
Yeah.
With the survivor, and then it kind of leads you into werewolves from there, which I thought was like a decent way to introduce it, but I did find it was like a little bit convoluted for all the pre-story stuff of like having the main character Cooper like try out for the secret operative group first and then come back to it later. And I get that they're trying to tie it all in with the dog situation, and like it's like kind of like divine intervention when the dog saves him later on and stuff.
Yeah.
But for me, it felt like a lot of like unnecessary stuff that they were just kind of like fitting in for story's sake.
In your guys' opinion, the leader of like the secret ops there, do you think that he, like, because they kind of hinted that they set up this training exercise to use all of those soldiers as bait, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, do you think that he was werewolf, or
No.
Oh no, he wasn't
The
initially.
military knew about these werewolves.
Yes, and they were
just were
coming
just
to
like,
capture
fuck
them.
Well, they
this.
knew about one.
Right.
They had no idea.
So
it was
how
a
did
group.
so he realized? So obviously he knew right away after getting scratched that he was going to turn, and that's why he was just so chill after.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, he probably didn't know initially.
Yeah,
but
but
he
when
probably
he went
had
to the
enough
bathroom,
information from what's her face.
well, it was also from when he went to the bathroom after he got puked on.
Yeah, that's true.
He went upstairs, and then after that, he was pretty nonchalant about the whole thing,
Yeah.
right?
Because that's the only part that kind of confused me, was trying to figure out, like, why the fuck they didn't just kill him from the beginning, and what was.
Well,
the
they probably
point of
didn't get a
keeping him?
chance. That was the only
Well,
reason that they
they're-
didn't kill those people was because someone intervened beforehand.
I think there are also like a lot of military people. Like if most people are in that situation, like a lot of people would just be trigger happy. But with military people, you're like kind of taught to save people, or like first and foremost is like protect people, retreat with them, get them help, which was like their first priority. But then once they got to the house, you know, it was kind of a different situation, and then they kind of realized that this guy wasn't really gonna help them in any way.
So,
What I didn't understand is how come your first thing wouldn't be to get information from this guy
Or
about
the
what you're
girl.
fighting.
Well, they were trying, but he just wasn't talking. And
Well,
every
even
time
the
they
girl,
got close,
like-
something happened.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so do you think, because they said that the girl knew the secret ops guy, do you think that when she helped the secret ops out in their mission, like she had said, do you think she was a werewolf then, or
Well,
after?
like it was said, I don't think it's like taking a piss. I think it's like taking a shit. Like you can hold out as long as you need
Yeah.
to. And I don't think she ever let on because they were only aware that there was one werewolf.
Yeah.
So they probably observed somebody in her family doing something, and she probably was staying close to keep an eye on what they knew and stuff. And I think that's why she was hesitant to help the quote unquote bad guy out, because she kind of knew.
But she also
their
said, like,
intentions.
she also said that she wanted out, so she was planning on escaping from her so-called family.
I think her
with
family
these guys.
probably, because it sounds like from what they set up, they're like, I think they said 14th centuries on from Scotland family that's lived out there, so they've lived there like their whole lives. So her wanting to escape is probably like the family idea is, Kate, we're werewolves, we got to deal with that, but we're not going to leave this forest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And she probably just wants to go out and just
Well,
do
it
her
looks
own thing
like
and
she
fuck
probably
shit up
has more
elsewhere.
control over the turn-in time than anyone else in the family.
Right.
And I don't think, like, I think her story was true, where she wasn't from there and she came to learn whatever. I don't think she's technically like blood related, but werewolf, blood related.
Well, yeah, she's blood-related now, but
Yeah.
wasn't before.
Right. And they probably, I feel like everybody in that family probably wasn't technically blood related. I think they probably had people joining the family
Yeah.
as they got infected, right?
Yeah,
Because if
maybe.
you're healing in general,
Well, they initially they
then-
probably wanted to create a pack.
right. Yeah, it was an interesting movie for sure. Like, I don't know. I personally like Overlord a lot better as a war movie, war action horror movie. Like, it just did everything better for me, more effectively. But I definitely understand why you like this movie so much, because there's a lot of character to it, and there's like even the scene where like I think the guy's name was Spoon. He was going toe to toe with the werewolves and he was boxing them.
Yeah. Knocks it,
Like
kicks his
there's
tooth out.
there's some pretty like iconic stuff in this movie, especially from that time. That if
I mean,
anybody does it going forward,
Yeah.
you're going to be like, that's referenced from this movie.
Yeah, you compare
because-
that to most things coming out around 2002.
Yeah,
And you'll probably find this is like
it's up there.
relatively high tier in comparison.
Yeah, like what would be coming out around there? Like Scream 2 probably.
Yeah,
and-
I mean, I guess the point I'm trying to make is this shit fucking holds up.
yeah. I
like,
mean,
no-
for the most part, like I don't know. I think
The
I'd like.
storyline was garb.
I think I'd rather see a remaster because it did kind of look pretty fucking.
I don't know. I
worn out
liked
to
that.
me.
There was some parts that bothered me, just like lighting and stuff like that, because it should have all been in the dark with only like moonlight, I guess. But like there was quite a few times where just looking out the window, like looked like it was fucking daytime out there. Like,
Yeah,
you know what
but
I mean?
it was a full moon,
Yeah.
and it was also
Well-
fog.
Was it?
Wow.
Kyle pointed out the image that they used didn't look like a full moon,
Oh.
Yeah, it was.
which was
But
kind of funny.
when light reflects off fog, I think it does something weird.
yeah.
Like
Well, I
especially
think
when it's that much
That
light.
that was one part that made me laugh so bad, where he's in the car and they use like a little fog machine
Yeah.
for breath.
Yeah.
It's so cheesy.
Like
that part.
you know, there's a guy
Yeah.
just like in the back of the car going.
Yeah. Was that too much?
He just looks over at the director. He's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there was a lot of things that this movie did effectively. I think what they did the best, though, and they probably could have lent into a little bit more, was the main sergeant or leader guy and Coop. Their characters are very likable. There's a lot there that you
Yeah.
can go with.
Yeah,
And-
the
and-
sergeant was easily the best character in the
yeah,
whole
man,
movie.
he's probably one of my favorite actors.
I'm not gonna lie, the best scene in this whole movie, like aside from all like the action and stuff, the very best scene in this movie is the talk that he gives when he
Yeah.
was in war in Kuwait, I think he said.
Yeah, which Kyle was not paying attention with.
And
Oh yeah, I was.
it was like it was for me that reeled me right
It was
in, 'cause I was
fucking
like,
real
this is a good story, and
Yeah.
like it's interesting, it's visual, I feel like it painted a better story than the actual movie did.
Yeah.
And
Which
I really
is-
love how they segued out of it too.
Yeah.
So there's a bloke in a bar.
Yeah. Guy walks into a bar with a dog.
Yeah, there's a lot of like British humor in here. Like at the very end, like the whole movie is them talking about how Germany's playing
Yeah.
Britain in a footy match. And the very end, it's like a newspaper saying that like a sergeant says troop was killed by werewolves, and then it pans out and the headline for it is Britain 5, Germany 1. I just thought that was pretty like
Yeah.
it was a pretty good nod to the humor over there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like it was like a humor thing that did it for me in comparison to you. Maybe that's why you hold it closer, is like the humor and stuff.
Yeah,
but-
well, I always remember watching it with my dad, and I was really young when I watched this for the first
Yeah,
time.
you
But I
said-
remember him and my uncle absolutely fucking creasing at some of the jokes that they were making. Because I think it was one of the first movies where there was stuff like that, just super dry, offhand comments. Like when he gives him his watch and he says, "Well, what are you going to do, Sarge?" He
Yeah.
says, "Well, I suppose I'll count."
Yeah, and see that probably would have made me laugh more, but I didn't understand it at first, right?
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Because it's just he like they talk so quickly and it's hard to
Yeah, and
understand
there's
the
no
pronunciation sometimes.
like facial expression when
Yeah.
he says it either.
Well, like I don't know if it's the same thing for you, Kyle. It's probably not even close to the same thing for you, Patrick. But for me, when you have multiple different accents going on too, you have like different kinds of like heavy, thick accents
Yeah, yeah.
of British, and then you have like a kind of Scottish accent going on.
Yeah,
and,
there
like-
was British, Scottish, Geordie. There was 2 Geordie guys, I think.
Yeah, so our brain, like my brain, I should say, I feel like I'm translating through different languages
you
in a way.
probably you probably understood the sergeant more than anyone else because it kind of just sounds like me.
Yeah,
That's the closest to my accent.
and
that there
then
is.
Coop was next, and then the other guys weren't too hard to understand, but I did feel like they
Yeah.
talked a lot more quicker.
Yeah, they did.
So it could just be like a brain translation thing.
Yeah,
that-
well, I had to slow down talking when I first moved here
yeah.
because I'd go up to people like in the restaurant, I'd be like, "All right,"
They're like, what?
and they'd look at me like, "Yeah, man, what?" Like they'd just sort of nod, smile, and pray that I was just saying something funny.
Right.
And then they'd walk away, and I'd be like, "All right, cool, fuck you, I guess." No worries.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I picked up on most of the stuff because I
Yeah.
even looked at you to be like, did I hear that right? A few times. And you were like,
Yeah.
yeah, you heard that right. I just don't get why you're not laughing at it. And I'm like, well, I get it. Obviously, I picked up on it. It's just, it's not like, it's not like a 1-2 punchline for me that I'm typically used to. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm used to like the dark humor, like the Anthony Jeselnik type shit. If you know any of his jokes, he jokes about like some pretty fucking dark shit. So when a guy makes a joke about like blowing up Red Riding Hood with a rocket launcher, I thought that was pretty funny. But then he goes to like talking about counting because he doesn't have a watch. I'm like, that's like clever, but it's not like something that's gonna have me like, as you would say, creasing.
It's more. I don't know. It's just the sort of shit that you'd say to your mates.
Right.
You know what was another good part of this movie? When the fucking cow drops and the dude just unloads blanks on it.
Yeah. You're shooting fucking blanks.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, it's... Yeah, I definitely think people should check this out, especially if you're looking for a good werewolf movie.
Yeah, there isn't many good werewolf movies.
I feel like I need to watch more. The funny part is one of my favorite werewolf movies when I was younger was Underworld, of all fucking movies. Have you ever seen Underworld? Yeah, Teen Wolf is a fucking...
I think
banger,
I've seen
too.
bits of Underworld, but it's never been a franchise that I could get into.
Yeah, it's very
What
weird,
I don't
but-
like is a franchise that's based around just a very attractive female lead. And the only reason why a lot of people enjoy watching it is because it's a very attractive female lead cutting about in leather.
Right, so that's Resident Evil. We're talking about Underworld.
No, Resident Evil does that as well, and it fucks me off.
Right.
There is no
That
need.
I got you. But with Underworld, there's something about that movie that grabbed me when I watched it, and I feel like okay, man, I'm tired of like blowing this horn, but American Werewolf in London is like #1 for werewolf movies for me, and I just watched it for the first time like 2 years ago. And like I feel like that's the movie that you fucking Brits should be leaning in as your pride and joy, man. That's a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
And
You Brits.
yeah. Have you seen that movie, Kyle?
No, but
You should see that movie. That movie is great. Anyways, yeah, I definitely would recommend this. Patrick, you'd probably recommend it?
I would fully recommend it. Probably not if you're Canadian like these two dickheads, though.
We gave it pretty good fucking ratings still.
I'm kidding.
And I was butthurt that you guys gave it gave Overlord a higher rating.
I think the only reason I gave Overlord that rating is because it was a second watch.
And you were fucking baked, and it fucked
I
with
was
you.
fucked.
Honestly, I feel if you give it a couple years and you go back to it, you'll be like, okay, yeah, it's a solid 4.
Yeah, I think the only reason I didn't give it a higher rating as well is because that first scene was making me real nervous.
Kyle, would you recommend this movie to anybody? Or how are you feeling about it? Because
I don't
3 is
know.
not a bad rating, but
It's-
it's also an in-between.
It's like a 5 out of 10.
if I was talking to if it came up and
6, you know.
and someone was talking about werewolf movies or something, I would mention it, but I don't think I'd be like, oh, I watched this movie, you have to watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, no, I completely get what you mean.
Fuck you! I sounded really Italian there. Fuck you!
Can I borrow your knife real quick?
I'll just do it myself.
Just castrate.
Yeah, so those are some of our thoughts on Dog Soldiers.
Reviews.
We also like to talk about user reviews here, what other people think about these movies that we watch.
You always give me the 1 out of 10, you prick. Especially when you know I like the movie.
Yeah, well, I also picked one that I thought you would find. I found ones that
read
you would
it.
find humorous to
I read
read
it,
as
and
well.
I very much like this review.
And then with Kyle, I try to stick to ones that are interesting but also short.
Thanks.
Which isn't like, it's not a bad thing, you know, we just have different reading paces. But if you, Patrick, you have the 1 out of 10, right?
Do, yeah.
You want to give that one a readout here?
Okay, yeah. So this is from Tony Hick from October 2003. He says, dog of a movie. This looked like a bad one from the start, but I gave it an hour to show some indication that it might become interesting. Scary, intelligent, or humorous. I put the comma in the wrong place there. Apologies. After that, I weighed up my options. I could watch it to the end or go to the kitchen and wash the dishes. Thus, one good thing came out of this movie. I have a sparkling clean set of dishes.
I mean,
is a fantastic
as
review.
bad reviews for movies
Yeah.
go, I got to give this guy respect because he at least says, I gave it an hour.
Yeah.
Which is a lot more than a lot of people will do for movies. Like Velvet Buzzsaw is a movie I watched recently that I tried my hardest to get
mate.
into.
I got maybe 45 minutes into it, and I was like, I still have no fucking idea what's going on.
It's a tough fucking watch, man.
It's I don't know why, because on paper, right, the idea sounds pretty fucking
Right,
cool.
steal spooky art from dead homeless guy.
And then the
spooky
art comes to life, whatever.
Yeah.
But why did they do it in such a crackhead way?
Like, let's spend 45 minutes setting this up as like some guy who is bisexual, sleeping with everybody in the rich, fancy art crowd.
I don't know.
Like, okay, so they're art snobs. Is that
It's-
supposed to make us not feel bad when they die?
I feel like that movie is more pretentious than
No, it's about on par with Hereditary, I would say.
dunno.
The only thing that Hereditary had that was different is they actually gave you like a good setup at the start, and they gave you some sort of payoff with a light pole.
I kind of
For
want to
me-
just for that movie. I kind of want to just skip to the end and see what the fuck happens.
Yeah, I thought about that too, but
I can't bring myself to click it.
I don't think it gets
Just
any
that
better.
continue watching button is really unappealing.
Yeah, fucking Netflix just knows that I will never continue watching it, so it doesn't come up for me anymore. Kyle, you got the 5 out of 10 review here?
Yeah, this is from Jafundo. 5 out of 10. You can always get a good laugh. This movie must be viewed as a comedy or else it will lose all credibility. It hasn't real horror. It doesn't make sense.
That'll happen from time to time.
Okay, it hasn't real horror, and most of the blood and guts is really a joke. And cinematic.
The cinematography.
Oh, right.
Patrick's tried so hard not to laugh right now.
What did I say? What did I say before that?
Come on, you got this.
The cinematography is very good, but the writing is horrible.
Day
Ridiculous.
25.
Well, what did I say before?
Kyle's reached the second paragraph of the review. Becoming hungry now. Need water. Send
fuck
help.
He finishes it off by saying, if you like werewolf movies, check it out, which I would say too.
Yeah.
If you like werewolf movies, it's worth a watch. But if you're looking for just like a solid horror movie that you want to get scared of and stuff, I would say this is probably at the bottom of the list for most people.
Oh, it's not a scary
There's
movie.
definitely like a niche for people
In
that would love this
2002,
movie.
probably pretty fucking scary.
Right.
Same as
but Ginger Snaps. Have you seen Ginger Snaps?
Yeah, that's a werewolf movie, right?
Canadian werewolf movie.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not about that. She probably turns into a moose.
You ever hear of Ginger Snaps, Kyle?
Nope.
I believe it's about a girl who turns into a werewolf when she gets her period,
It is,
right?
yeah. That is exactly it. I haven't seen it all the way through, but I know the premise.
Yeah, it's actually supposed to be like really good. Like the creature design and stuff is supposed to be good too.
Isn't that?
I think there's 3 of them.
Isn't that Wolf Cop or whatever? A
Wolf
Canadian
Cop
one?
was filmed 2 hours away from here. Patrick, that's one we should watch too. Is Wolf Cop? Have you seen Wolf Cop?
I haven't seen Wolf Cop.
Have
Wolf
you?
Cop and
Did
Wolf
you
Cop
watch
2.
it?
I went and saw Wolf Cop 2 in theaters. Yeah, it's a good movie too. It's just fun. It's like similar to this where it's just like fun shit, but it's got more of a comedy tone to it. But yeah. 10 out of 10 review here from Crash 5 2000, which means Crash 5 1999 was already taken. Yeah, Patrick, I said it.
Fuck you.
We're talking is the caption, which I don't understand, but nonstop sitting on the edge of your seat excitement through the whole freaking movie. I mean, I was grabbing at the floor, holding my wife's leg, cracking up at the clever humor. Let's take a moment here and analyze
Yeah,
that.
pretty sure he got divorced immediately
Have you
after
ever
this.
watched a movie and just like the whole time you're on the edge of your seat grabbing at the floor? What does that even mean? What the fuck? Unless you dropped some candy in the theater or something.
That's what Patrick was doing when I was trying to read.
No, yeah. You should get grabbable floors and see what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe just a rug.
This movie is by far on my top 10 list. It's hard to find a good werewolf movie these days. This one definitely ranks up there. A most definite must-see if you are into fantasy movies like such. Being a soldier myself, it just makes things a whole lot more realistic. And the acting / improv in this movie were just fantastic. If you're looking for a night to just sit around and watch a thriller movie, this is a top pick. Go to your local video store. Heck, even buy it online. You'll definitely get your fill. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I know many people that would like just throw this on when they're looking for
No.
just a movie to throw on. I think you have to kind of seek this out and want to watch it to watch
this
it.
is a once every 2 years, maybe.
Yeah, I want to see what year Ginger Snaps came out because I feel like it came out around then. And this guy was saying, I think his review was from 2006. Yeah, so Ginger Snaps was actually 2 years before this movie. So
Fair.
that might be one to check out later on. But yeah, okay, let's jump into some trivia here because there's actually a lot of interesting trivia about this movie. There's a whole lot more than what we're about to tell you guys on IMDb. So if you're looking for that, you can search it out yourselves. A lot of interesting stuff. I might have a few bits of Shinfo tidbits to throw in at the very, very end that we didn't include just because I think they're interesting. But yeah, for now, let's talk about some trivia here. So Patrick, you want to
Yeah, I can go
start
first.
us off with that, buddy?
Sean Pertwee asked Neil Marshall if he could have a few drinks before shooting the scene where his character, Sergeant Wells, gets drunk and bandaged up. And the director said yes. I don't know how many a few was, but it's way more authentic drunk acting than you often get in movies, so I was happy with that. That's jokes.
So the guy just had like
He was
he was
full on
fucking wasted
fucked.
in that scene where he was drunk on the bed.
I was going to say he is a very good actor, but that was very well acted.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
As a drunk man.
Yeah, I feel like there would be a lot more terror involved personally in a situation like that, even if you're drunk. But
I don't know. I feel like once you get to a certain point, you just don't fucking care anymore. Like, especially if you've already been experiencing that for like 6 hours.
I mean, your intestines are hanging out.
Well, they weren't though at that point.
Yeah, they were. They were
like,
trying to glue them.
They glued him back up, but he probably couldn't feel it because he was turning into a fucking dog. Shall I read the second one as well?
Yeah, just go right on.
In the scene where Wells asked Cooper to knock him out, Kevin McKidd throws a stage punch the first time, but misjudges the distance of the second and catches Sean Pertwee on the nose. Pertwee didn't feel the punch, however, as he was really drunk for that scene. So he actually clocked
funny.
him.
It's actually funny because I read this before we watched this. So when that scene happened, I watched, and when he did the second swing, the actor immediately went over to the dude's head, and you could tell he was kind of checking to see if the dude was okay. He was just like, fuck. And the other dude must have just given him a thumbs up or smiled at him or something because he like just went on, and then they had to cut right away. And I was like, fuck, man, that's kind of funny, like knowing that he actually hit him in the face.
That is brilliant.
Kyle, it's up to you here, buddy. Let's see if you can redeem yourself.
There was very little CGI used in the movie because the people involved in the filming believed that CGI was being overused at the time and that it would take viewers out of the movie because they would be focused on how the special effects looked rather than the story. Thus, the werewolves were animatronics and bodysuits with stilts.
So there were stilts. Kyle stumbled not because he can't read, but because Patrick was grabbing at the floor. Just for listeners, you did redeem yourself. Let's see if you can do it again,
beautiful.
buddy.
Go on, man, you got this.
Simon Pegg, that's dude from Shaun of the Dead, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Was offered a part in the film, but turned it down after Edgar Wright asked him to save his first horror role for Shaun of the Dead in 2004. Also, Jason Statham was originally the top runner for playing the part of Cooper, but he had to back down at the last minute to do John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars.
Could you imagine this movie?
Have you seen Ghost of Mars?
No, I haven't.
But that is fucking hilarious knowing that he dropped out of this to do that.
But his career went on to do huge things.
Yeah, but
Would
I'm
it
so
have done
glad
that?
he did because he would not have fit in this
I was going to
movie.
ask, could you imagine this movie with Simon Pegg and Jason Statham?
Nah, it would have been crap. It would have wrecked their careers.
You think so?
Yeah. But I think because most of the people in this were very low-level actors, I don't know, it seemed more gritty, a bit more real.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely
Because you
disassociate a little bit more.
you didn't recognize them.
Right.
So-
I feel like if you're watching like a Dwayne the Rock Johnson movie, it does take me out a little
Right?
bit.
Well, mainly because he's
the only
fighting a
person
building.
that I knew from this movie was the sergeant.
Oh, you recognize him
Yeah.
from something?
Yeah.
I cannot think
He's
of what.
he's had some really weird parts.
I
and
think the
stuff.
girl I've seen in the movie too before.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, I'll jump to mine real quick here, and then we'll start wrapping this up, boys. Chris Robson made a confession to Neil Marshall on the night they were set to shoot the scene where his character runs into the barn and drives the Jeep back to the house. He couldn't drive. Marshall punished his tardy admission by making him attempt it anyways for the first take. He did it and ran it off the road. Imagine the director just be your boss at work being like, I don't know how to drive. He's like, I don't fucking care. You're going to do it anyways. And then you drive the fucking Jeep right off the road and they're like, well, let's reset. Let's try this again. This time we'll get somebody else to do it.
That's fucking hilarious.
So yeah, you had people that were just fucking wasted, people who couldn't drive. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
Also, this is a picture of that Bill Ramsey guy, that werewolf.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so interesting.
It kind of does look like he could fucking turn into werewolf.
Also, we mentioned that the suits were suits on stilts, making the werewolves very tall. I also read, this is just additional trivia, I guess, that they specifically hired like dancers to play the werewolves because they liked the idea of them having like feminine gestures and like
the way they were like rubbing on the roof all the time.
Like yeah, like smooth like arm gestures and stuff like that. So they wanted dancers to do stuff like that to be a little bit more graceful, I think was the idea, which I thought was like an interesting fact. So okay, this is the last trivia here. Neil Marshall stated in an audio commentary for Dog Soldiers that the moment in the film when Megan cuts her hand on a shard of glass was meant to be a setup for a second sequel about werewolf DNA, which would complete a planned trilogy. However, he added that the planned sequels would probably amount to nothing. So he wanted to turn this into a trilogy, Patrick.
Yeah, it didn't do too great at box office. It got 5 million, I think.
Nope, it actually got quite a bit more.
Oh, maybe I saw the budget, not the thingy.
Right, so this movie got 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb, 79% Rotten Tomato score.
Wow.
93% Google users liked this film. It had a budget of about 2.3 million pounds.
Oh, yeah.
And it made 3.5 million. So it did okay, but it also cost...
Apparently it made 5 million.
Yeah, maybe this is 3.5 pounds.
No, this is 5 million GBP.
Pounds. Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Well, my IMDb information is wrong then, I guess.
No, this is just Google information, so it's probably also wrong.
Yeah, so...
How much you make, Dog Soldiers? Please tell me.
But yeah, so how would you feel about this being a trilogy, Patrick?
Not that strongly, honestly.
You feel like the one and done is probably the best way to go with this?
Well, yeah. Can you imagine seeing those werewolves in 3 movies?
Well, what if The Descent was actually like the third installment?
I wonder if he also got dancers to do their parts. I reckon he did. The monsters in The Descent. Because they were like flying about all over the place.
Yeah, I didn't see anything about that. So, but we did read that they didn't see each other beforehand.
Wouldn't that be fucking hilarious if they were like the same people? He just got the same fucking actors that played the werewolves.
Yeah, that would have been great.
That would be hilarious, man.
Yeah, but thanks for pulling this movie out, Patrick, and getting us to watch this.
Yeah,
this
man,
is one that's kind of been... It's been like in the background for me, but like I said, it's not a movie most people would watch.
I still
seek it out,
never would have heard of it if my dad hadn't have rented it from Choices that one day.
Well, thanks, Patrick, Dad, for renting movies from Choices and also destroying lightsabers by cleaning out toilets. So,
cheers for that, Dad.
Thanks,
never
buddy.
forget.
If you guys want to recommend any movies for us to watch or any topics to discuss on the podcast for our Life Legends episode, feel free to get in touch with us on social media, on Twitter at Life with Kenny, Instagram at Life with Kenny Pod, or Facebook, the Life with Kenny Podcast. I try to post things weekly, so you can follow us there, give us your opinions on the movies that we watch, and just tell Patrick how studly he sounds, and comment on Kyle's puby chest. I don't know if we actually recorded that conversation, but it's it's on there now. So yeah, don't forget to favorite us, rate us, and subscribe on your podcast apps and social media. That helps us reach more people. I did post a video recently saying that previously we've been doing 2 episodes a week for the podcast. We might be cutting that back a little bit for the summer, so we might end up doing a Life Legends episode every second week or something. The schedule might just fluctuate a bit here, so just a heads up on that. But other than that, yeah, thanks for listening. And next week, I think we'll be doing probably School of Rock. I think, is that what we're thinking? Because we're going to be doing a music month. So you guys keep an eye on that too. But yeah, thanks for listening. As always, fuck Judge Reinhold, and Kyle.
Get a life.
Get a life.
Yeah, you should probably do that.
All right.